In this complete beginner's tutorial, you will learn two very basic software on how to do video editing. The first one is iMovie, which is a very fantastic software that you can use to edit your videos in Mac operating system. The second software that we're going to consider today is Final Cut Pro, an excellent software that you can use to edit your video, also solemnly based for Mac operating system. So without taking much of our time, let's get to learn the basics of how to use Final Cut Pro and iMovie.
Final Cut Pro is Apple's professional-level, non-linear, non-destructive video editing software. It offers the most advanced organizing tools of any professional video editing application. This video is for complete beginners with zero experience in the use of Final Cut. By the end of the tutorial, you will learn how to download and install the software, how to create a library, how to create an event and project. You will also learn the general overview of the platform, how to do basic video editing with Final Cut, how to add B-rolls, text, transitions, and effects. You will equally learn how to adjust speed and add music to your Final Cut Pro footage. You will also learn how to do color grading and finally export your videos in different formats using Final Cut Pro. So without taking much of our time, let's get started. Alright, so to download and install Final Cut, all you need to do is to come to your browser over here and just type apple.com/Final Cut Pro. Okay, so you can see it just like this. I'll put this whole link in the description. And once you're here, you can just come all the way to try it. You can give it a try if you want, and you can buy directly. But then if you want to try, you can try for 90 days and you'll be given access to the latest version of Final Cut to do all your basic editings. And this is very, very effective. You can find it extremely useful if you can try this for 90 days. After 90 days, then you can consider subscribing and buying the full package. So you can just go ahead and download and install it on your PC. So I will see you on the other side. So once you've installed the Final Cut, you can just come all the way to your gallery over here or the Launchpad, and you can see it over here, Final Cut Pro. So you just click on it and you'll be welcomed with this very screen. So this is a complete blank screen where you have the different features which I will explain in very brief. For example, here you have the library panel. Okay, this is where you create your library, and the events as well as the projects all are housed over here. Okay, and then this is where you have the media bin. Okay, whatever you import, you find it over here. And then over here, you are going to see this is the preview panel. Okay, where you will see the preview of all the video you are editing, all the footage you are editing. You will be able to preview and play over here with it. And then the next one here is the effects and controls of all the features you are editing. You will be able to find the effects and control on most of the properties that you can edit accordingly as you proceed with your video editing. And down here, all we have here is the timeline. This is where you bring in the media and then play around with it with the playhead, and I'll show all this in detail as we move on. So next is we have these photos and videos. You'll be able to showcase the photos, videos, and the music that you have over here, or you can check out the title as well as the generators over here. So there are a bunch of them. There are titles, 3D, 360, and credits, elements, lower thirds. You'll be able to see most of them, and as you hover over any of them, you'll be able to see the preview over here. Okay, so these are titles and these are generators. Later I will show you in details how to use all this. We need to create a library to start our project afresh. So there are two ways to create a library. You can come to file over here and come to new and just go ahead and click on library. So you just click on library and it's going to prompt in the default location or the last location you attempted to save a project on Final Cut. So you need to specify location wherever you want to save it. You can just go ahead. I want to save mine in this Final Cut and I want to give it a name. Let's say we'll give it a name tutorial 2. So this is the library I'm trying to create, tutorial 2. You just click on save. And it has created our library over here. So usually by default, it comes in with library and then we have the event. Okay, so you have the event. If you don't want this event that it's created, you can create an event by just right clicking over here and say new event or new project. So events are housed under library, under a specific library. You can have series of events, and under any given event, you can have different kind of projects. So that's how they are arranged in Final Cut. Right now we have this as our own event. We can decide to create a new one, or we can decide to rename this one if you want. But then let's say we'll go ahead and create a new event by just right clicking over here, or you can come still to the file and then new, and then you can say new event. You can just click and then you can give it a name. So the default is it takes in the date and the date of that particular project that you are working on. So you can just give it a name. So let's call it spending some time with yourself. So this is the video I'm trying to edit here. So you can specify this event is under which library. So if you have a multiple library, you'll be able to select and just save it under that particular library. And then you can create a new project on this if you want. But then let's say we'll take it step by step. Right now, I want to create this event under this tutorial too. So you can just click on create and you can see it has created this very event under this library for us. So the next thing is we'll try to import our media. Okay, so you can import media by just coming over here and clicking on import, and you're going to see from your computer, you can navigate to wherever you have your footage. For example, I have mine under Final Cut over here, and I have this video, Spend Time with Yourself. I can easily select it and go ahead and import it, import selected from here. Okay, so you can import selected. One thing you should pay attention to is the different features: add to existing library, add to existing event. If you want this media or this video to go to this event, you can just click and it will just add it to this event. Or if you want it to go to this very event, you can add it, and then you can create a new event as well from here. Give it a name and then you can save under that particular event. Okay, then the files, what happens is people sometimes try to copy the file to the library, which is not really advisable most of the time. You can easily leave files in place wherever they are, and then you can just link them up in Final Cut, so it just works directly, which is my most preferred method. Leave everything in place and then you can just link them up. Okay, so all other things I kept at default. The keywords, the analyze video, the transcode, I keep everything, the codec, I keep everything at default. So I just go ahead and say import selected. So it's just going to import that particular video for us. So right now we have created a library, we have created an event, and then we've imported video footage over here. Okay, so the next thing is we can try to import the video. You can start to create a new project by just coming over here and just clicking on new project, and to prompt to this. Another way you can do it is you can still come to file over here, come to new, and then you can go to project. So once you click on project, it's going to bring you over here. So you have to give the project a name. So let's say this is basic editing of this particular footage that I'm working on, and you can specify this project to be under which event. So you can give the event, for example, I'm working on this footage on spend some time with yourself, and then you can have everything at default. If you want, you can leave everything at default, but if you want, you can see custom settings over here. Okay, by just clicking on use custom settings, you'll be able to specify the video format, like 1080p is what I usually use, but you can go as far as 4K, 5K, 8K if you want, depending on how powerful your system is. And then you have the resolution. The format is 1920 by 1080, and the frame rate, I usually go for 30 frame rate per second. And then the rendering format is Apple ProRes, which is usually the default, and I like everything. The audio settings, I keep everything on the stereo and 48 kilohertz, which is the default. I keep everything at default. What I change is mostly the video format. So you can just go ahead and change it and then go ahead and click on OK to create that particular project. So right now you can see now the timeline is being enabled, and you can just click on this video footage that you've just imported. You can drag around, you can drag it into the timeline and drop it just like so. And as you hover over it, you'll be able to see right now you have some sound, okay, which as you hover over, you're not supposed to hear. So to mute that, you can just come all the way here to this point and just mute this. And you can see now if I'm moving, I can't hear any sound. Okay, so as you hover over with this red line, you'll be able to see the preview of what is inside this particular video. And once you look down here, you'll be able to see the audio profile. Okay, so you'll be able to see the audio profile clearly, and you know where exactly you're talking and where you're not talking, and where you need to do some cuttings and all that. So this is basically how to create a project, to import the media and then to drag it into the timeline. And you can do the same movement with the playhead as well to have a preview of what is happening. So this is the playhead, and you can move across from left to right or anywhere, okay, within the timeline. And as you select any video clip, you will be able to see its properties over here: the blend mode, the opacity, the transform features, the position, rotation, scale, and in both X and Y axis, the anchor points and the cropping feature, and all that you can find them over here. Any footage you click, any media you clip, you'll be able to see its properties over here, the effect controls. So the next thing is we are going to look at how to do some basic editing in Final Cut. Okay, so to edit footage that you have bringing into the timeline, there are different ways. For example, the first method is if you want to trim the video from the beginning. For example, I want to trim the video from the beginning to maybe this point. I want my video to start at this point. All I need to do is to hover over to the edge of the clip, and you can see my cursor just turn into this. I can just easily drag, and you can see I'm trimming it up to this point that I plan, okay, up to this point, and I want my starting point to be here. I just release it, and what it does is it actually crop the other section of the video. If at any given point you decided you want some part of it to show, you can also come over here to the edge and just drag it all out again, and you can see the other sections are coming up. So that's one important part of trimming. It is not deleting everything, it is cropping it so you can easily get back to it much later. You can do the trimming from both sides. You can do on left and right. You can come to the right section. Also, you can trim as well. So this is the first part, trimming. The next thing is you can do some cutting. Okay, you can cut. So let's check the blade mode. The blade mode you can do by just hitting on the letter B from your keyboard, and you can see it has changed to this scissor sign. At any given point, you can decide to cut. You can see it has created a cut. You can decide to create a cut. You can decide to create a cut, and now it has split the whole clip into about 5 sections. So you can come down here and you can see the blade mode by just clicking on letter B, or you can go back to the selection mode by clicking on letter A, and you can see the clip has been subdivided into about 5. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, into 4 sections. So you can see it has really cut the sections. By just hitting on the letter B to enable the blade mode, you can just cut at any given point, and you can hit on the letter A to go back to the selection tool, and you can select the different media and move them around to rearrange, and then you can have them maybe rearranged accordingly. Okay, so you can just move them across and rearrange them so you can have them properly arranged. One thing I like about Final Cut is as you select a given section, you delete it, it's going to do ripple delete. It's going to cover the gap that you've just created. So that's another way. Another quick way that, let me just undo some of these cuttings so that I can show you how to edit faster using the ripple edit. So in Final Cut, if you want to do ripple edit forward, for example, I enable the blade mode and just cut this clip at this point and go back to the playhead, and you can see I created a cut here. And what I want is, maybe at this point I want to delete from here to this point, to this cutting point. So I can do that using the ripple delete mode. Okay, so to do that, you can hit on Option, the square bracket close to delete from here to here. So Option on your keyboard, on your keyboard, hit on the Option key and the open square bracket, and you can see it has just created that cut for me. And if I want also from here, from the beginning to this point, I want to remove it, I can do Option square bracket open, and it's going to do that for me. Okay, so you can see pretty fast and interesting. So if I want from here to the other edge, let me do that again, Option plus square bracket close, and it's going to create that for me. So it makes editing pretty fast and interesting. So at any given point you want to create any given ripple edit or ripple delete, you can just do that, ripple delete right and ripple delete left. You can do that with the Option and the square bracket keys. Okay, this is very, very important and useful. So you can check out the other multiple features that you can have from here as well, like the selection tool, the trimming tool that we've just highlighted. You can do that with the letter T, the position tool, the range selection tool, and the zoom tool. You can do zoom in and out using the letter Z, and the hand tool for the panning and moving around. So this is basically how to do some basic editing with Final Cut Pro. Now the next thing is we'll try to bring in B-rolls and show you how to put in different type of B-roll, from images to videos on top of your footage. So as you are hovering over, as you are experiencing as you are playing a given video, at some point you can move in to show something just something like this, as you've just navigate from the main video into this b-roll to illustrate something, and then move back to the video and continue. So to bring in b-rolls, I have classified my b-rolls into different categories. For example, I have them arranged as b-rolls here. You can just click and you see I have videos, I have images over here, and when you go back here, I have videos that I put for just for reference purpose, and as we are moving, you can be able to add them into the timeline. So to bring in b-rolls, all you need to do is to come to the media bin or the project panel over here and just right click and say import media. So you can just navigate to wherever you have them in your device. For example, mine, I have it in this desktop. You can just come down all the way here. So you can see Final Cut over here. So you can just go ahead and you can see my b-rolls. I can import them at the same time. So by just selecting, I can select import selected, and it's going to import both the video and the audio. So you can see them arranged over here. The media are arranged separately. So to bring in a media into the timeline at a given location, for example, I want to bring in the media at this point before the starting of this. After this taking off this T, in the next one, I want to start with the b-roll. I will just drag it and drop it. So assuming I want to drag this image, drag it and drop it on the timeline, just like so. And then I can position it to make sure that I got it right at the right position that I want. For example, I want it to start somewhere here. So I can just select and use my B key to bring in the scissors tool or the blade tool and just make a cut here. And I can just bring back the selection tool by pressing the letter A and select this and delete. And then maybe I want this one also to last until here. And I can still do the blade tool, cut here, and then back to the selection tool, and then you can select and delete. So I have my b-roll situated around this. So once I start up to this, and then the b-roll comes in, and then it goes out back to the normal video. Okay, so this is how to bring in the first one. I can bring in another b-roll if I want. For example, the image of this guy, I can just easily drag and drop it here. And then I can just position it. You can use the command and plus sign to zoom in and out, plus or minus sign to zoom in and out, so that you can be able to see clearly what we are dealing with. So I can come over here as well and select this point, make a cut here, and make a cut here as well. And then back to my selection tool and then delete both of them. So I have my b-rolls around here located. Okay, so next is I can bring in the video as well if I want. So let me zoom out here. So I can select any video. For example, I select this video. I can just drag it and drop it on the timeline and then define the areas that I want it to come in. So for example, I can see it comes in here. I want this point when the girl becomes surprised here at this point. So I just make a cut and I press the letter B, make a cut here, and then back to the selection tool and delete this point. So you can see if I'm playing it, it's going to show that surprising point. And then maybe I want it up to this point. Okay, then I want to create another cut. So blade tool and make another cut back to the selection and then delete here. So you can see just like so, she went wow, and then back to the normal. Then I want to put the b-rolls as well at this point, another video. So just select the video and just drag and drop it on the timeline. So this is this small girls running. Okay, so they are running up to the end point. If you want it to, depend on how long you want it. I want it at this point to just stop here. So I enable the blade tool. I make a cut back to the selection, delete this. And then I have my b-rolls around here. So you can see just running and then back to the main video. Okay, so this is very easy and fantastic, and you can make your work very, very easy and nice, and you can bring in different impressions to your video and make it look very, very much professional. Later I will show you how to use transitions to actually make it look superb and fantastic. Okay, so this is how to bring in b-rolls into the timeline and continue with your editings in Final Cut. Now the next thing we're going to look at is how to add text into the timeline and then be able to preview it in the canvas and format it using the different text formats that we have in Final Cut. So to start with, all you need to do is to identify the place where you want to add the text. And you can just come all the way to titles and generators slide bar over here. You can see a bunch of different titles. You have from 3D to 3D cinematic, you can see them. As you hover over, you'll be able to see the preview on the main preview windows. Okay, you can see the preview as you just hover over it. Okay, so you just be able to have an idea of what you are doing. This is 360 title, this is 360, this is 360, and this is built in, built out, in and out. Okay, you can be able to preview and see how it comes in and how it goes out. This is bumper opener. So as you hover over it, you'll be able to see the different features that it's likely to bring in terms of this. When you are trying to have a list of something, you'll be able to list them accordingly based on the subtitle that you have. Then you have credits. You want to give credits to someone somewhere, you just be able to put their name and the description and you just attach it. So you can have lower thirds as well. I have a bunch of interesting ones over here. You just put in your name and the description. Okay, name and description, you can just see it very fantastically. So all you need to do is just to drag and drop. Okay, just to drag and drop. So if you want to go for simple titles, or if you have a specific title or text that you have in mind you want to go for, you can just easily go ahead and drag and drop that feature into your canvas, into the timeline. So for example, let's say we go with simple titles, and then maybe we can have something like this 3D, basic 3D. Okay, so you can just select it, drag it, and then drop it maybe at this intro point. You can just drop it, and then you can use the command plus the plus sign to zoom in and out to see in details of what you have. So once you drag and drop, you will be able to, you can come to the edges and you can extend the length, or you can shorten it from the edges to specifically define where you want the text to appear in your video. Okay, so you'll be able to, once you bring it in, you can select it and you have the properties over here, the basic properties that you need, you will have them. So let's say right now we can hide all, so we can just be showing them one after the other. So right now you have the normal, this is the normal text. Okay, this is normal. Once you click on this, you will be able to have the 2D effects, 2D styles. You can see different kind of styles, but once you take the playhead to that particular location, that's when you will be able to see the changes that you have. So for example, now the text is basic 3D. You can see it over here, basic 3D, but you can change it if you so wish. For example, you can say welcome to my channel. All right, so you can see welcome to my channel, and then you can check on the different style, 2D style. You can make it bold, and you can make it something like this. This is preset template. You can check and make it offset if you want it to be something like this, and you can see it has changed it to yellow, and that effect has taken effect. So you can see you can change it to this, any setting of your choice. You can change it to this. I think I kind of like this, and then you can go on your own to check out the 3D styles. You can have 3D styles also. This blue plastic is good. You can have basic 3D. You can check around and just put in any one of your choice. I kind of don't like this, so you can just check, come back here, and then maybe you go with basic 3D. I think this is good. Then you can maybe select the 2D effect and go with this condensed. I kind of like it. Down here you can have the text. You can put in any text of your choice, and then you have the basic editing features. You can click on show here to be able to show the basic editing features, such as the font style. You can see this is condensed, that we've specified at the top. You can check on any, and as you hover over, you'll be able to see the fonts changing on the text that you've inputted. Once you reach a particular one that you are interested in, you can just hit on it and it's going to take it up. You can see other features like the sizing. You can play around with the sizing. You can increase or decrease the size of the text accordingly as you wish. And if you want to go back at any given point to the default setting, you can always hit on this arrow and it's going to take it back to the default setting. Okay, and I think I kind of like it to increase this much in size. And then you can have the alignment. You can align left, right, center, and all that. You can put in the alignment and you can even justify accordingly. You have vertical alignment, you have line spacing. You can be able to increase or decrease the line spacing in case when you have more than one line of text and you have tracking issues. You can do all that. You can increase the baseline. You can move it to the top or to the bottom accordingly, or you can undo or bring it back to the default. And you can force the letters to go all caps, just like so. Everything now goes back to capital letter, and then, or you can make it all small letters. And then you can play around with the cap size also. You can make it smaller or you can make them bigger accordingly. So just feel free to give it a try and see what you can do. And then in terms of position, you can play around with the X, Y, and Z direction. You can see as you just select, you can move it to the right, to the left. This is on the X axis. You can do the same on the Y axis. You can move it top, up, or bottom, okay, up or down, just like so. You can play around with it until you are certain in the position. And then in the Z direction also, you can play around with it accordingly. And in each case, you can always hit on the arrow to go back to the default setting. And then you have rotation. You can go ahead and rotate the image, the text accordingly. If you want it to increase, to rotate, just like so, you can play around with the rotation on the X axis. You can do the same playing with the rotation on the Y axis, and then you can play around with the same rotation also on the Z axis if you so wish. So it's something very, very nice and interesting, because you have all the access to all the basic features that you need to carry out most of this basic editing. Then you have the scaling. You can scale to the X axis, okay, and you can scale to the Y axis as well to make it a bit bigger, larger, and then you can scale to the Z axis as well, make it a bit bigger. So you can hide on these the basic ones, and you can go to 3D effect and show this. You can enable the 3D effects, and then you'll be able to have the depth of the text. You can increase or decrease the depth accordingly, and then depth of direction, you can do centered, or you can do forward, backward, you can do all that. The weight of the text, you can increase or decrease, just like so, make it thinner or make it thicker accordingly. Okay, then you have the front edge, you have the front edge size, you can do all sort of things. Then you can come to lighting. As you finish with the 3D, you can disable it or you can hide it. Then you can check the lighting, you can check increase the lighting intensity or decrease it accordingly. Okay, so you can check the lighting style and make it standard. Right now it's in standard. You can make it backlit or above or thereabout. You can just go ahead and play around with all this. Then we have stealth shadow. You can show it and then be able to see opacity. You can increase the opacity or decrease accordingly. And then the softness of the edges, you can increase or decrease accordingly. Because we are using white color, that's why you don't see most of it. Then you have the environment. You'll be able to check out the different rotation, contrast, saturation, and all that from here of all your text. And then you have the material. In the material, that's when you change the actual color of the text. So let's say you're in materials over here and you can see the basic things. You make it shiny, or you can make it matte, or you make it textured. Okay, you can make it textured if you want, but I think shiny is doing a lot of a good job. And then you can check the coloration. You can change the coloration. You can just hit and you'll be able to navigate around to change the color accordingly. As you move around, you can see the color is changing on the canvas. Yeah, very nicely done. So as you hover over, you'll be able to check on the best color that suits you and that you're interested in putting. Then we have the glow effect. You can show the glow effect and be able to see you can glow with this color, yellow color, or you can glow with any other color of your choice. Okay, and you can see it's showing on the main text. You can play around with the opacity from here as well in terms of the glow effect, the radius nature, and the blurry nature. And on each case, you can either hit on this to go back to the default, or you can individually restore back to the default. And then you can have drop shadows. If you want to drop a shadow, you can show the details. You can see right now the shadow is black. You can change it to any color of your choice. You can select and then move around. For example, you can move around here and you'll be able to have the different color of your choice. And then you have the opacity, the blurry nature of the drop shadow. You can edit all these to your taste. And then the distance. You can see the shadow, and then you can play around with the coloration from here. Okay, and then you'll be able to see the actual drop in shadow. So you can reduce it, make it smaller, just to be able to be visible. You can change the angle of the shadow. You can make it the other way instead of this way. You can change it accordingly. So these are the very basic things you need to understand when it comes to text, adding text in Final Cut. It's rich with different kind of features, different kind of even presets that you can easily add and you can play around to experience and like it. So let's say we put in this text and you can just play it. Let's see, we play it. And then it goes out. So that's kind of perfect. And you can do the same thing with different kind of text like I've explained. So just feel free to go on to try different ones and see the one that fits your content and that can send in the message that you want and give the professionalism that you want. But for this is how to give the basic editing, put in the basic properties to make it look professional. So that does it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, so the next thing is we'll try to look at how to add transitions and effects into our video footage or into the timeline to continue with our editing. So to add transitions, all you need to do is to come over here and click on this small icon called transition browser. You can just click on it and you can see a bunch of transitions. For example, this is cross dissolve. As you hover over any kind of transition effect, you're going to see the effect. Okay, so just hover over it and you'll be able to see the effect it's going to have on your video. So this is 360. You can check around and see a lot of them. Okay, so you can just see the effect. Just hover over any of them and you will be amazed. And this is blur effect. You can blur effect just like so, and you have different kind of dissolves from divide to cross dissolve to lights. You can have lights, lens flare, something like that. So there are lots of different kind of transitions that you can easily import and apply them into your video. So let's have a look at how we can apply different kind of transitions. For example, let's go back to all, and I want to insert this cross dissolve. So across this our text. So let's try to put it across this text. For example, we can just drag it and drop it somewhere. Okay, so we just drop it, and by default it applies the transition at the beginning and at the end of the clip. So let's try to look at the transition at the text. So at the intro, you can just see how it fades in gradually from the clip to the text, and then at the end of it all, it fades out gradually. It fades out, and you can do all sort of things with the text, with the effects. For example, you can select it and then you can increase the transition, okay, the duration of the transition. And now you can see if you preview, it's going to fade in much longer. For example, you can see it takes him longer time to fade in and then stays on the clip, and then it fades out. So the longer or the shorter the transition has effect also on the way it's going to look on your main video. So usually you have to quantify and know exactly how you want it. If you want it to be long or short, you can still make it, and you can have other properties as well. As soon as you select a given transition effect, you can have the transition effect properties over here, like the ease in and out. Do you want to make it? Do you want to increase it or decrease it? You can do that all from here. Okay, how does it ease in and out? You can select, and then you can vary along the look of the video. You can change, and you can change the fade in and out. This is currently at S-curve. You can click to see other linear or 3dB features that you can add to your transition. So this is the first one, adding transitions to a text. We can equally add transitions to a video. For example, the transition between our normal clip into this B-roll, we can add another transition. For example, we can just check around. Let's go to wipes. I kind of like wipes sometimes. See this effect? We can just drag and drop it on the video, and you can see it puts it at the bot end as well. So take a look at the transition. Can see from the main video into the B-roll, and then you can do the same as you move again out of the video. Okay, so you can see from the main B-roll into the main video, it just flips out or wipes out. So that's how to kind of add it. And you can extend the length as well by just selecting on the transition effect. You can see the properties as well. Direction, you want it to be right slant or you want it to be left slant. You can change all that from here, and then you can extend the period. Okay, the period of you can extend the transition period. So for example, instead of it to wipe faster, it now wipes slowly. You can see it wipes in slowly, taking much longer time. So it all depends on you. If you want it to be shorter, if you want it to be longer, you can just make it fantastically. So the same way. And if you don't want to have at the end of it all, you just want it to cut into the main channel, you can select and delete this particular transition. Very easy. So you can see it comes in and then it goes out from the B-roll into the main video. So another place that I used to add is, for example, you can add also on this image the same way you add. You can just select just this circle, drag and drop. Okay, and you can see you can select it and you can reduce the length of it, so it just becomes very small. So you can see you can play it on your own. So you can see the transition into the video and outside of the video. Very nicely done. So another place that I used to add transitions in my video editing is between clips. So for example, when you have two clips that you have separated, for example, this one and this one, I have these two clips that it moves from here to here. Or let me select another one. For example, this one, let me enable the blade mode and cut at this point because this is the same video. So within the same clip. So let's say I'm cutting at this point and I want to add a transition here between this clip that I have just cut. So all I need to do is to drag the transition. I usually don't add transitions between these kind of clips. All I need is just to zoom in on one of them. Okay, so for example, I select this one. Let me go back to my selection tool. I select this clip and just come to transform over here. You click on show over here and then you can come to scale all. Okay, so scale all, you can just scale it to maybe 103 or 110. 110 is good. You can do it manually or you can just do it on your own and just make sure it's a bit about 108 or 110. You can just add 110. All right, and hit enter, and then when you transit, you will now see the effect. Okay, so this one becomes a little bit glaring than the other one. Okay, so you can see it. So the movement is kind of physical. You can easily see it, and you can apply transitions at any given point based on your choice. Okay, so depending on what kind of transition you want, you can easily apply depending on what kind of content you are creating. So basically, this is how to use transitions and add transitions into your clips or video editing in Final Cut Pro. That does it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Now the next thing is to learn how to speed up clip in Final Cut Pro. So to speed up a clip, all you need to do is to select that particular clip that you want to speed up, and then you can come up here and see this small speed ramp, this small arrow, and you just click on this small arrow and you can see it. You can slow it down by 50%, or you can slow it down by 25%, or you can slow it down by 10%. However you want it, you can do it with Final Cut. And you can speed it up by 2 times the speed. Okay, at any video clip is at 100%. If you do 2x speed, it's going to go to 200%. If you go 4x, it's going to go 400 and 800 same way. Okay, or 2000 same way. Okay, so you can always come back to normal by just using Shift N, or you can just click and it's going to go back to the normal speed. And then you can hold or freeze the clip, and then you can do blade speed, or you can do custom speed, and you can reverse clip accordingly, or you can move from or reset a given speed, or you can check out a bunch of other speed effects. For example, automatic speed ramp from 100 to 200, or from 0 to 200 at the starting of a given clip. You can do all that from here, and you can do instant replay or rewind. You can do all that from here. So just feel free to go ahead and apply anything. So you can say, for example, this video, I want to slow it by 50%. Once you click on slowing it by 50%, you will notice that the length of the entire clip has increased. It's going to increase, and you can see right now you can move across, and this video is now in slow motion.
Students, but the question is,
now you can see it's definitely in slow motion. So assuming I want to create a blade and I want to make a cut at this point, and let's say I have my speed ramp over here and I want to increase it from 50 to maybe 60%. I can do that as well. So all you need to do is to go back to the selection tool by pressing on letter A, and then you can come to the extreme end. At this clip, the speed ramp is the slowing is applied, or the speeding effect is applied, which is slowed by 50%. If you want to increase or decrease, you can come to the extreme end over here and you can decrease it over here. And you can see you are slowing it down by 60%, or you can increase it and you make it faster by slowing it down by maybe 33% or 30%. So all these have effect, and you can do that manually on your own. Okay, so you can easily select that and come over here and do the editing accordingly. So basically, this is how to add speed ramping and speed up your clip in any way, however you want it. Make it faster or make it slower, or make it in any way as you want. Speed ramp from a given speed to a given speed. You can do all that from here, or rewind it accordingly. So feel free to give it a try and let me know what you think on the chat box. If you have any issues, I can help you to address all that. I think that does it for increasing the speed of a clip. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Now the next thing is to add music into our editing timeline, and you can import music from anywhere. In my own case, I usually go to Pixabay and then I download the music and then I import it. So let me show you how I do it. Just come to your browser and just type pixabay.com, and you can see over here you just specify what kind of media you are looking for. By clicking here, you can come all the way, you can see music and sound effects. For example, in my own case it's music. I just click and I'm looking out for music. Maybe I put background music. I'm looking for background music, and then I just search directly and you can see a bunch of them. Okay, so there are lots of background music over here, so you just play to have a preview of what it is. And these are royalty free images, free music that you can use and reuse and even share with your friends. It's completely free to use. So you can just preview by just clicking on anyone, and once you're certain of any background music that you want to download, you can just go ahead, come over here and just click on download, and it's going to download it for you over here. So you just select it and put it on your editing profile, or you can import it directly. So in my own case, I'm going to import it from my Final Cut. So I come back to Final Cut, and to import any media, as usual, as I've showed you, is you come to file over here and just go straight to import, and then you specify media. You just navigate to where exactly you have that media file. So for example, in my own case, I have it in YouTube under this Final Cut tutorial. So I have it under Final Cut, I have it on music. So you just open this and you can see lifelike background. You can just select it, okay, and just come over here and say import selected, and it's going to import that video, that audio, that music for you directly. So what you need to do is just select it and drag it and drop it into the timeline, just like so. Very easy. And you can see it has just imported it for us as a music, as a background music. So usually to play a background music, you have to be aware of the sound volume effect. So you can play around with the volume. Usually, naturally, you can start by playing around with this line. Okay, you can increase the volume by just playing around with this line, increasing or decreasing accordingly, but you'll be able to see the profile. Some are getting red, some are getting yellow, but the key thing is to not allow your sound or your volume to peak to get to the red level. It has to be just between the green color as well as the yellow. So don't let it go into the red line, because it's going to peak and it's going to make your videos to look fantastic. So let's try to zoom out and see our video. So you can see we have the music up to this point. You can copy or you can drag the same audio and put it again. This is what I usually do. I usually drag and put it and then try to connect them. So after the first music, it's going to restart again, and then I drag again, I put it again on the other track. So after the third one, it's going to restart again. So what I used to do at this point is it exceeds the main video, so I can just go ahead, come to the extreme end over here, and you can see it has shown this sign. So you can just trim to the end and until it connects to my main video. Okay, so you can see it has just connected. Usually what I do in adding videos, in adding music into my track, is I used to have a fade in and fade out. I do apply that at the end of the clip and at the beginning. So to apply any fade in, once you hover over any music track, you can be able to see a small dot at the end over here. So you can just drag that small dot and move it around, and you can see it is fading your music. Okay, it is fading your music from whichever point the sound is going to go down at that point. So you can see it is going to fade out from that point. Whatever sound or whatever volume you are on, as you get to this point, is going to die down up to 0. Okay, so it's going to like fade out naturally. You can do that at the entrance as well. So you can come to the entrance, you can come hover over the clip, and you can see that small dot. You can just drag it and you can see you can fade in, and the volume is going to start from 0 until this point. It's going to get louder at this point, that is going to go back to 100. And alternatively, if you want to play around or increase or play around with the volume, you can just select the media. You can come back here to these properties. You'll be able to see the media over here. You can increase or decrease the volume also from here, and you can see it increasing or decreasing from the timeline over here. So this is another way to play around with the volume, and you can enable the audio meters as well if you want to be able to visualize your audio, how it is performing, by just coming to Windows over here and show in workspace, and you'll be able to show the audio meters over here. So you just click on audio meters and it's going to show that over here. So once you start playing your music, it's going to show the audio meter from the audio meter. So let's just select and hit on the space bar, and you can see. So what it does is it just show you the level of the volume. If you see it hitting the red sign, it means it's bad, so you have to play and try to reduce it from here. And you can see even from here it's showing some yellow and red signs. If you look very closely, you'll be able to see that. But you can try to reduce it by coming here and just reducing the size over here, and then you try to play by observing the audio meters and see how far it is going.
When was the last time?
You can see this is quite okay because it's still within the green range. It doesn't get to the red line as we have discussed. So this is basically how to add the music onto the timeline. So sometimes you may want to mute the music and play around with the main video sound effect. Once you're done with the sound effect, then you can come and increase or play around with the background music effect. Okay, so sometimes you may want to increase the sound volume at a given point, and you may want to decrease it at a given point. Sometimes I do what we call I apply the range selector, or sometimes I cut at a given point. So for example, if at this point I want to I want to increase the volume of the music to go higher at this point, selected point. So all I need is I just come over here, select this point, and then enable the blade mode and just click to cut, and then click to cut at this point as well. And then I go back to the selection mode and I can increase my volume at this point. Okay, so between this point, I can make the increase or decrease as accordingly as I wish. So this is one way. Another way to do it is you can undo the cutting, and I can apply the range selector by just hitting on the letter R to enable the range selector. So once you drag a given selected area, for example this area, and within the range selector you can increase or decrease the volume or the volume of that particular clip as you so wish. So this gives you a kind of control because it even applies the keyframes at the entrance and exit, so you can feel free to play around with the keyframes, like such as the fading in and fading out, or putting in different kind of effects based on the keyframe. So it gives you that kind of control for you to play around and see what you can do. Fades in and it fades out using these keyframes. So you can do that at any given point by just hitting on letter R. You just select by just hitting on the letter R, it will enable the range selector. You just select and just drag across, and then you select that particular place and you apply the very effect you want to either increase or decrease, and it's going to give you that very effect, not across the whole but on the selected part of the selected portion of the clip. So this is a very easy way to kind of apply different kind of music effect on your music, and to play around with the volumes across the clip as you're editing your video. So I think that does it for adding music into the timeline or into your video editing. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. That does it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, so the next thing is we'll learn how to do color grading with Final Cut Pro. Okay, so to do that, we select any of the clip. For example, I have many clips here, and for you to do color grading on or color correction on any of them, you just select one of the clips and do your color correction over there. And then after you color correct it, you can now copy the properties into the other clips that you have. Okay, so let's say we select this one as the first clip that we want to color correct. So you can come over here to this small magic wand, okay, and you just come to this small drop down arrow and you just click on it. So the first thing I used to do is I do color balance or balance color. As you click on balance color, you can come over here and enable these property settings, and you can see it over here. So this is balanced color. You can uncheck this to see the difference. It's just a little bit of balance in the coloration, but it's very, very small. You can see it. I've unchecked it and I've checked it with color balance, without color balance, with color balance. I think it's kind of visible, but it's very, very small. So that's the first thing. It gives it a little bit of a balance, and then you check the method over here. You just click on this and make it white balance. Okay, so you just make it white balance, and you can come over here and make sure you select this color picker. You just identify a white position in the video and just make a click of it, and it will automatically change or adjust the coloration of that particular video clip according to the white balance. So it will identify that place as pure white. So you can select anywhere, maybe this place or maybe within the shed over here. Can just make a selection, and you can see it has given us a little bit of adjustment. Okay, so you have selected the white area and it has given us that change. All right, so the next thing is we move to the main color by coming to this small tab over here. We just click on this and you have a series of color effects that you can apply to your video. For example, down here we have the coloration, okay, where we have the global color, which is this one. Then we have the shadows, which is this one, the midtones, and the highlights. So I'll show you how to edit and what effect all of these will have on your video clip at the beginner level. Okay, so next we have the saturation, which is the amount of color you have on your video. You can reduce it or you can increase it accordingly using these very different features. We have the global feature, or we have the shadows, midtones, and highlights. Then we have the exposure, the rate of exposure of the image. You can control that also from the global perspective. When you use these, you can increase or decrease, and you can see the global exposure is being increased, or you can bring it down to the barest minimum. You don't want to make it too much because it will be too dark. You just have to tweak it a little bit to some extent, and then you can play around with the shadows. Can increase or decrease the shadows. You don't want to make it too much. You just want to make it a little bit, just a little bit of the shadow increment. You can see the percentage, just 8%. I think is good. Then you can play around with the midtones. Okay, areas that are lighter or darker, you can make them a bit light, and then you can sometimes bring it down to minimize the exposure. Okay, then we have the highlights. You just make it a little bit lighter. Okay, so you can see it's now looking much more better and professional. All right, so the next thing is we have the color. Okay, so we can do the same with the color on the global scale. We can play around with the coloration, and you can see we can make it a bit warmer, or we can come down here and change the coloration very nicely. You can see as you move around, you'll be able to see the changes at global scale. Okay, so but you don't want to go crazy with this. You just want to make a little bit of the touching. Okay, just very little difference. And then you can come out to the shadows and make a little bit of an adjustment as well. So just very little adjustment. You can see you can make the needed difference. Okay, so you can make the midtones as well. You can just vary it a little bit, because if you go too much, you can see it's getting colder, but then you can bring it back to warmer a little bit. And then you can come down to the highlights. Okay, the highlights also the same thing, just a little bit of the tweaking you can see can result to that particular change you are looking for. Then we go to the saturation. Okay, saturation also is the amount of color that is in the video clip, like we've just explained. So you can go from the global scale, you can make it saturated, meaning having too much color, or you can make it darker, which means if you come down to 0, it removes all the coloration. So you don't want to go this crazy with it, so you just stay a little bit at the middle, and then you play around with the other features like the shadows and midtones as well to increase the sharpness and the saturation in terms of the coloration. You just want to make sure you get it a little bit. Okay, so you can see from here we are getting it kind of perfectly. We don't want to go too much, but we just want to make it a little bit higher so it becomes a bit warmer. So you can see now, I think our image is now quite beautiful. Our video is now quite beautiful. So we have done that only to a particular clip. Okay, so this particular effect, if you want to copy it to the other clips like this one, all you need to do is just to come back here, right click over here, or just come back here and just come to edit and come to copy. So it's going to copy everything, and then you can highlight the remaining clips that you want to paste on. So for example, you select this one, you can hold down the shift key and select the remaining clips. Okay, with the shift key press down, you can just right click, or you can come to the same edit. Okay, so you can come to paste attributes over here. You just click on paste attributes, and what do you want to paste? We just want to paste the effects. We want to paste color board 1. We want to put everything effects and color board 1. That's what we want to paste, and once we click on paste, it's going to take in that particular difference, that particular changes that we've inserted here, and it's going to carry it to all the other clips that we have. So basically, this is how to do some basic color corrections and color grading to your footage using Final Cut Pro. Alright, so the last part of the tutorial is on how to export your video in MP4 format from Final Cut Pro. So all you need to do is to come over once you're done editing, you have checked in all the audios, you have checked in all the videos and you have done the color correction and color grading, you have done all the basic editing, you've added the b-rolls and all the other images and media that you wanted to put in, and you've done all the cutting and joining, and you're satisfied satisfied with the video, you don't want to export it, all you need to do is to come to file over here, and you can just come to share and just go ahead and to export file, and then you can come down here to settings. Okay, so from settings you will have format. Usually if you want to export in for your YouTube video, you can always go to video and audio, which is the best quality. It's going to give you a very good quality, except if you want smaller quality, you can go with Apple devices, computer or web hosting. It can give you smaller quality and smaller size videos. But for this, and you can export video only or audio only if you want. But for this, and for the fact that I'm exporting for YouTube channel, I usually go for video and audio, specifying this as mastering. Okay, so you can just go for video and audio, and then the video codec you just select. You can leave it at Apple ProRes, and it's going to give you a very fantastic quality. But if you're going for YouTube, I recommend you go for H.264, which is the MP4 format. So you just select this, and then you can make sure the resolution is as set initially 1920 by 1080, and then everything now can be left at default. Okay, so you can come all the way here and click on next, and it's going to ask you to save in, give it a name. So we can just spending some time with yourself, and then you specify the position where you want this video to be saved. Okay, so let's say we are going with this my document, and then you can select a given location. So let's say we are selecting here, and we are giving a new file, so you can just make it Final Cut export. So we just select and click create a new file, and then we save it inside, and you can see it has started the export. And if you want to see the percentage of the export, you can always come to this small circle over here. You just click on this, and you will be able to see the sharing option and how much percentage it is going in terms of the export. So you just wait for it to export complete, and then you can try to play it and see how much of the coloration or how much of the quality you have gotten. And you may want to play it in different devices to be able to get the performance as according to what you want. You can play it on the phone, you can play it on the tab, you can play it on your computer as well, using different kind of means, so that you can be able to see how it looks and sound on all of those devices. So basically this is how to use Final Cut Pro for beginners purpose. So let's just give it some seconds to finish up, and then we can try to play it back and see what we have. All right, so right now it has finished, so you can just play it and see what you have. And I think it kind of looks cool because all of the features that I have selected, I have added, are already in there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. First thing you need to do is to download and install iMovie, which is specifically for Mac operating systems. So to download and install it, you just come all the way down to your launchpad over here, and you just click, and you can search for App Store, and you can come over here directly. You can just click on your App Store. Make sure you're connected to the internet, and once you're in your App Store, you can just come all the way to the search bar here and just search for iMovie. It's a free software that comes with Apple. Okay, so you can just find it here. You can see the first one, iMovie. You can see, because it's installed on my system, that's why you see it as open. If it's not installed, you see it as get. Okay, so you just click on get to download it and install it directly. So once you install, you can just come all the way down to the launch pad again to launch it. So you can come all the way here and just search for the iMovie. You can see it over here, iMovie. You just double click to kickstart it. Now, once you kickstart iMovie, you will be welcome to this very big screen. So here you have the previous projects that you've worked on. You can see it over here, and you can create a new project by just clicking on this, which is what we are going to do. Okay, so you create a new project by just clicking here. You have two options. One is you can start from trailer, which is usually templates, video templates that you can use to customize to your own, and then make your own videos from it. Or you can make movies directly, okay, from scratch, using your videos, photos, and music. And this is the option we are going to go for now, which is the movie, which is starting a video from scratch. So you just double click, or just click, and it will just bring you over to this. Now, this is the main platform of iMovie, but we will go deep into this tutorial. I'm going to show you the general overview of the platform, all what you need to expect or what you need to pay attention to while you're working with iMovie. So basically, this is the platform. to the left top left over here, you have the project media where you gather all your media. You can have my movies where you can have all your media, be it photos, images, and music or sounds or sound effects. You can download, you can import them into this my movie, or you can have libraries which have access to the different photos from your system. You can have photos from your system or all events that you've worked on this software. You can see it over here, or you can have iMovie library. Subsequently, if you have worked on other libraries before, you'll be able to see the content over here. So depending on you can create libraries or events within these sub libraries. Okay, so you can just go ahead and have a look at what it entails. Next is we have, this is on the media tab. Next we have the audio and video tab, which you'll be able to see all the audios and sound effects inbuilt in iMovie, and even some of the music that you have on your system, you can equally have access to them from here. And next we have the titles. There are a bunch of titles that you can easily apply. They come in templates that you can just easily apply on your text, on your video clip, by just selecting, dragging and dropping. You'll be able to apply them. And then we have series of background effects. Okay, you can add backgrounds to your text that come in without any background, and you can just on your own add background to any section of the video during editing process as well. Next we have transitions. Transitions are effective when you want to connect between two clips, okay, or when you want to transit from one clip to another clip showing maybe two different messages. You can easily use transitions to move across professionally. You can have them. This is fade to black. As you hover over any transition feature, you'll be able to see its effect on this preview panel. So this is the basics of this at the top here. And then if you have anything, you can search directly from here. And over here, you have the series of other controls and features, which I will explain to you as we move on. Then we have the preview panel. This is where you can have a preview of whatever is on the timeline or whatever you are editing. You'll be able to see the preview of it over here with a number of connected features. Look over here. You can reset any feature that you're working on, or you can play the feature. You can play a video from or a clip from there. You can just see, you can move to the next clip or back to the previous clip. You can zoom this to fit or to full screen. You can zoom to full screen with this feature. And then you have the option to do voiceover as well. You can record your voiceover directly from here. You can record your voiceover directly from here if you so wish. So down here you have the timeline. This is where you bring in all your media to conduct the editing process. This is where you bring in all the media, the music, the videos, and all the images. You can bring them over here and do all the basic editing, connecting, transiting, color effect. I will show you how to use all that within this very simple software. And one thing I forgot to show you is just this small gear icon. Once you click on it, you will be able to have the option to increase clip size on what you have here. You can zoom in, and then you can show audio waveforms if you want. Later I will show you what this means when we begin to import some media. And then these are the zoom settings. If you want to zoom in the timeline, you can use this feature to zoom in and out to be able to see the thumbnails clearly or whatever is on the timeline very clearly. Later I will show you in detail what all this means together with these very settings. Okay, these are very basic settings that you can easily work with, just like what we have at the top here. But this one includes maybe some background fading effect, fading to black. You can see all these effects, but they are very basic. I will show you how to use them as we navigate across during this tutorial. And lastly, you can have this small show or hide media library. If you want to hide the media library, you can click on this, or if you want to show the media library, you can click on this. And then if you want to import your media, this is the icon. You just click on this to import the media, and then you can easily create a project. If you want to create a project, basically you can just come over here and just click on this. You can click on this, and then you give the project a name. Okay, so you just give it a name. So let's say my video editing. Okay, so I have my video editing 1. So this creates my project, my video editing 1. You can just always double click and you're back to the same project. And at the end of it all, you can export using this feature. You can export using this feature to all these different platforms if you want, or if you want to save on your own in your PC. I will show you in detail how to do all this as we move across. So this does it for the general overview of the platform. Okay, what it entails, what are all these features, and how can they help you during your editing process in iMovie. Now, the next thing that I want to look into is how to import your media into the media bin over here, or my media panel over here. So you have 3 methods to do that. But before we go deep into that, let me show you how I arrange my media in my folder so that it becomes very easily classified. And when I import them, I know what I import, and it makes my work quite easy during the editing. So let me show you this folder, which contains the iMovie folder. So this is the iMovie folder. I have all my video footage over here, and then I have the music footage that I'm going to use for this editing, and then I have some B-rolls that we can use during this editing process, which are classified into images and videos as well. So I have videos that I want to use as B-roll, and then we have images as well that I want to use also as B-rolls. So it all boils down to you. You have to learn to arrange your footage accordingly so you avoid getting confused as you move around. So these are videos that I download that we're going to use to serve as our B-rolls. And then these are music, and then these are the main videos that I'm going to use. Example, specifically this sample video, I'm going to use it, and some other ones that I'm going to import as well to show you how to use. So basically there are 3 methods to import. You can come all the way to this point and click on import, and you will navigate across your system to the main within the local drive to access the features, access the media that you have, be it image, be it a video, be it a music. You can access them directly, and then you can just select. You can select one, or you can select multiple. For example, I can select music, I can select this B-roll, I can select these pixels, I can select these videos, I can select everything, and I can just come over here and say import selected. All of these are going to be imported into my media. Okay, so you can see all of them have been imported from that first method. Additionally, the second method is you can come all the way to this small import media. You can click on it, and it will bring you to the same place. You can do the selection from there as well and import. Or you can come to file over here and come to import media, or you can hit on Command I to do the importing, and you do the same thing. Alternatively, which is one of the most effective, is you can just come all the way over here and just drag and drop. You can drag and drop the media that you want to import. You can drag and drop it. You can easily drag and drop it into my media. So very easy. So this is how to import media into the media bin. So to import it into the timeline, you have 2 options. For example, as you hover over any video clip, you will be able to see its preview on the preview canvas. You can see as you navigate around, you have a small playhead that you can navigate around across. You can see, and you can be able to see the preview of it. So once you select, you may be able to import a specific section of this video into the timeline. If you want to import the entire video, you can just click on this plus sign to add it into the timeline, just like so. It just adds it very nicely, and this is the main timeline because it has this black bars at the end of it. This is the main timeline. You can do that, or you can easily also drag and drop the video into the timeline, just like so. You can decide to select this and delete this, and you can see it imported this one. I prefer this video clip because it comes with the audio, and you can see the audio waveform beneath it. You can see the distribution of the waveform beneath it, and you can see the video part. So this is to import this one, and then you can import images as well. If you want, you can import the image as well and just paste it, and you can see it is connected. You import this image as well, or if you want to import this video, you can import anything. Just by dragging and dropping, you can import virtually anything of your choice. And the same thing goes with the audio. You can import anything and paste it just like that application process. And if you want to cancel that, you can do that by right click over here and say select entire clip, and everything now is back to normal. So this is very easy way of importing media into the timeline. And I hope you can see as you import the media, you'll be able to preview it over here. You can be able to preview across. This view is iMovie that gives it this zooming and moving view. iMovie gives it this very fantastic cinematic look of the video clip. Okay, so you can see it around. You have the option to use the playhead also to navigate very easily. You can see you can navigate around very nicely across the clip and across the timeline. You'll be able to see the preview over here. You can select any point to serve as a reference point, and then you can do different kind of actions across with reference to that particular point that you've selected. So this is how to import media into the media bin and import it into the timeline to start editing your footage or start constructing or making your videos. Alright, so the next thing I want to show us is how to do trimming and some basic editing in iMovie. So to trim a section of a clip, you have the option to trim from the edges. For example, at this point, and you want to trim this clip that I'm navigating across, you just select it and come to the edge until your cursor turns into this horizontal sign, horizontal arrows. You can just drag across, and you can see you are trimming the video. So one good thing about trimming is it's just like cropping the video. If you want to go back to the normal one, you can just come back to the same location, and once the arrow turns into something like this, you can drag and it's going to unveil the other parts that you've trimmed before. So you want to trim from the edges to a specific point. Assuming you want to trim up to this point, you can just come over here, select, and then move it until this point. Okay, so I want it to be until this imaginary playhead. So you can do the same on the other side as well. You can trim from the edges as well. The right edge, you can select and drag, and you can see it moves in with the other clips that are connecting. So it kind of ripple trim across as you click and drag. Okay, so the next thing is we can do it on any clip. On this one, you can do the same. Okay, you can do the trimming from any angle. Or if you want to do a trimming from within, you can also select. One very basic editing feature or editing control that you can apply is the cutting tool. Okay, so you can cut at any given point by selecting that particular clip, and you can right click and say split clip. Okay, you can split with the command B. You can split. Now you have clip A and clip B, or you can just come anywhere, you just hit command B and it's going to split. You can split as many clips as you want, and if you want to trim across those clips, you can just select and you can see you can move forward, or you can select and move backward accordingly. You can trim accordingly to any position of your choice. So if you don't want any position, you can just click, do command B, and then you can just click, do command B over here as well. Command B to clean. You can select and delete a clip if you want. You can select and delete, or you can do undo, or you can move the clip across. You can rearrange them. You can move them to any location of your choice. You can decide to move them around, or you can decide to select all of them and drag and move them to any location of your choice. So one thing you should pay attention to is once you have any media attached on top of a clip, that media by default is attached to that clip. So if I move this clip, it's going to move with that particular media that is on top of it. Okay, you can see it has moved together. If you want to detach or you want to move it separately, you have to move separately from the subordinate, not from the main clip. The main clip, like I said earlier on, is the one containing these black bars at the bottom. So this is how to do some very basic editing with iMovie. You can do any other thing like copy and paste. You can select, you can do copy, you can delete, you can cut, and you can split. You can add freeze, you can detach audio, you can trim to playhead. You can do all that from this, okay? Or you can show clip trimmer if you want, and you'll be able to do some very basic editing. So in a nutshell, this is how to do some very basic trimming and editing in iMovie. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is how to bring in B-rolls into the timeline to make our editing look much more professional and better. Okay, so to bring in B-roll, you can just signify or identify where you want to bring in that B-roll. You can just go all the way up here. You can drag and drop it, select a clip, drag and drop it, and it's just as easy as you see. So you can decide to move across to see a preview of what you have here. You can just move across. I want to take at this point. For example, I want to create a cut at this point. You can just select it and do command B to create a cut, and then I want to move up to this point. I may create another command B, but I want it to cut from here. Or you can come and trim from the edges directly, just like so. Okay, so I want to delete this, select this and delete, and I just want to create this as a B-roll from this point to this point and then back to the video. So, and then you can bring in as many as we can. You can select this, drag and drop like I've explained earlier. You can do the trimming, you can trim across to any point of your choice. So this one also the same way goes back. And you can do the same with other videos as well. So for example, this one, you can drag and drop this one also. And you can zoom in and out from here, okay, like I've explained earlier. So you can zoom in and out to see the entire clip. And you may decide to create a cut from here, command B, cut from here, command B. And then I may want to delete this and delete this. And you can go ahead and move your B-roll to any location. And you can see right now it is connected to this. So when you move this, everything is moved together. Everything moves with it together. Okay, so you can see this small sign that it's connected, it's linked to this main clip on the timeline. Okay, so this is how to bring in B-rolls. You can do that the same with images. You can drag and drop images. You may want to extend to fill up any space of your choice. You can extend or reduce as you so wish by just coming to the edge and dragging and moving around to fill up the spaces that you want. The same way, you want to bring in this one and you want to extend, or you want to extend the timing. Okay, you can do that very easily. You can extend the timing across, and then you can continue to add any B-roll to make your video look much more professional and nice. You can bring in any number of B-rolls, and you can see this one is specifically connected to this. So if I move, it's going to move with that. So you can select it and move it to any location. Like I've explained, you can adjust and change the location. But this is basically how to bring in B-rolls and do some very basic editings to make it fit and look professional on your timeline and in your video clip. So the next thing I want to show you is how to deal with audio in iMovie. You can import audio or you can use inbuilt audio within iMovie. So all you need to do is to come to the audio tab over here, and you can see a number of audios or music that you have within your system. If you want to import any of them, you can just select. You can have a preview of it by just coming here to click on this start button, or you can come to the Apple TV where you can have other videos, also other media that are inbuilt within your system, and you can have sound effects as well. You have a number of sound effects that you can easily navigate around and select any of them. So if you want to test on any, you can just come to this point, click on this icon to hear the sound. So these are different kind of sound effects. You can see a number of them that are located within here. You can select on any of them. If you want to add it to your timeline, you can just easily select, click, drag and drop it within that particular location. Assuming I want to put this one, you can drag it and put it here, and you can move it across. You can come over here, you can trim it to any point that you want it to fill up. You can see, you can select anyone. Maybe this is fish snowball. You can just drag it and drop it. You can drag and drop also and connect it depending on what message you are trying to create. So you can trim also to fill up. So this is how to import audio within the iMovie. But if you have your own audio, like I have had my own audio, I imported my own audio, you can come over here to my media. You can come all the way to import, go to where you have the music or audio. You can just select it. I have it here. You can just select it and import it. I've already imported mine, so you can come all the way back and then you can see it over here. So if you want to add any audio within the clip, you just specify where you want to add it and then go ahead and place on this plus sign, and it's going to add it to your timeline. You can see my audio have been added. So assuming I don't want to add this audio at this point, I just want to deal with the one that I inbuilt within the software. You can easily navigate and see what we are talking about. Another thing I want to show us as regards audio is the control of the volume. So once you select any audio, you can start playing. You will notice that there is the audio profile below here. You can zoom in to see it clearly. You can see the point when it starts to turn yellow. That's the point we don't want to exceed. You can turn to yellow, then to orange, and then to red. If it gets to red, then it's a problem because it's clipping. It's not going to sound very well. So you have to make sure that the clips or the audio is within the green sign, okay, and not exceeding to yellow and even entering the orange or red sign. So you have to be very, very careful with this, especially when you are dealing with background music or background audio, because the main purpose is for it to soften the whole thing and to make the learning very easy and nice with a very entertaining music behind the background. So that's the main idea. So you have a number of controls to be able to monitor and adjust the clip volume. Okay, so you can just select on any clip volume. You can come over here. You can see this small horizontal line. You can come to it until your cursor turns into these vertical arrows. You can just click and drag it. Right now it's at 100%. You can drag it down to reduce the volume. Okay, you can see it up to 0, and you can drag it up to increase it up to the point when it is peaking to yellow, to orange, and to red, which is very bad because it's clipping. Okay, and it's not going to sound not nice. So you can adjust the clip by just selecting and then coming down. You can see it has reduced the size, and if I try to play it, you see the volume is going to reduce drastically. Okay, so you can play around with the horizontal line to increase or decrease the volume accordingly. Another thing I want to show you is you can easily increase or put in what we call the fade in and fade out in terms of the volume. So assuming I want my clip to start from here, I can just select here, come to the edge here, and just do a basic trim, and I trim it to that point. I drag here and I drag this one as well and connect them. So assuming I want my audio to have a fade in, somewhere to start maybe at 0 until it peaks to 100, and then maybe fade out where it's going to start from 100 and then fades down to 0 as it exits that particular section. So to add in fade in and fade out, all you need to do is select that particular audio clip and come to the dot over here, this small circle, you can see it, and as your cursor turns into these two arrows horizontal, you can just click and drag it. You can see you can move the profile inwards just like so, and you can see now you created a fade in. So what this means is the audio is going to play at 0, start at 0 audio, at 0 volume, and then it's going to navigate across and until it gets to 100. Okay, so when it gets to 100, that's when you hear it fully, and then the music is going to continue with this same volume of 100 until it gets to another point. Maybe at this point, I would like to stop here and start fading out. Okay, so I click here. I want it to start fading out from this point. So I can come all the way here and to this small circle with the black dot, and just click it and then drag it across. Okay, and you can see I've created a fade out up until this point. I want it to fade out until this point. So it start at 100 here and then move down to 0. So this is how to create a fade in and fade out. Now when you want to copy the effect of what you have here into other clips, all you need to do is just select the clip, okay, right click and say copy, and then you can come all the way here and paste. Okay, you can select this very clip that you want to paste, this very effect that you have added. So you select the clip, you can come all the way over here to edit, you can come to paste attributes, and you can go over here and say paste volume. Okay, so I want to paste the volume effect, and you can see it has given us that fade in, fade out, and even it has reduced the volume to the same volume level. Okay, you can see from the horizontal line. Now this is how to basically play around with the audio and put in some basic properties in cases when you want to add some noise reduction and other audio parameters to enhance the quality of the audio. You can always come over here and you can see this volume control. You can select it, and you can see over here you can play around with the volume. You can increase or decrease it also. Alternatively, you can see you can increase or decrease it, and you can see it from the profile over here, increasing and decreasing. You can take it to 100, or you can basically leave it at 100, or if you want to go down, you can go down to maybe 30 or 35. So you can just do that. You can lower the volume of other clips. You can select the clip. Once you select the clip, you can go ahead and lower the volume accordingly from here. And then if you want to add some very basic audio correction or noise reduction or other effects, you can select on this clip. You can see reduce background noise. Once you select on this, it's going to reduce background noise on this particular clip that you've selected. And then you can increase or decrease the impact. This is 50%. You can go as far as 70, 80%, but be very careful because this is going to affect the quality of the audio. So usually 60 is good, or something like 55 is good. Okay, so you can leave it at 55, and it's going to eliminate the background noise without actually affecting the quality of the audio. And then you have other features like the equalizer. You can click on this and you can enhance the voice. You can do music enhance, loudness enhance, you can do hum reduction, bass boost. You can do bass reduce, treble boost, and treble reduce. Also, you can apply all these features over here within that particular clip. So once you finish applying all the features on one clip, you can just copy the effects and then paste it on others. So no need for you to do on all the clips. Okay, so this is basically how to bring in audio from within iMovie, or you can import audio from your computer and do this very basic editing and professionalism, or very basic additions and subtractions to make your audio sound professional and look much more professional and nice. Alright, so the next thing that we want to try is how to bring in titles and lower thirds and any kind of text into iMovie. You have the tab. By just coming to the top, you'll be able to see titles. And once you click on it, you see a bunch of titles that you can easily use on your content. Okay, so as you move around, as you hover over any title, you'll be able to see its effect as it comes in and out. Okay, so this is the effect. It comes in and then it fades out. And then you have this lower third. This is very basic. You have this one also as it comes in and then it goes out. You have this one. So anyone you choose, as you hover over it, you'll be able to see the effect. Like this one, I kind of like this because of the effect, and this one as well. I think they look very much professional and nice. You can see this one, and you can see this also, a lower third, name and description. You can see this also. So all you need is just to identify what you want to add and why do you need to add it. If it's very basic text, you can select on any. For example, and you want to select on this, so select it, drag it, and drop it into the location that you want to put. You can see title is coming up. Okay, so you can move around, you can extend it to fill up the area that you want to apply, or you can reduce it accordingly as well. So you can just select and extend, and you can double click to have this effect, and then you can add in whatever you want. So one thing you should pay attention to, once you double click, you have the option to type whatever you want to type. For example, I can say welcome to my channel. Welcome to my channel. So you have the option to select any section of the text, or you can do Control A, and you have the option to equally select the font style. Okay, you can adjust the fonts accordingly very easily. You can adjust the fonts. You can come over here, you can play around with the sizing. You can bold this particular, or you can italize it, or you can make it pop out a little bit with the outline. So black outline, you can see it has popped out a little bit, and you can play around with the coloration as well. So once you click on the color effect, you have it over here, and you can move around within this row. You can navigate around to be able to see which color can fit into your content, and then you'll be able to apply it directly and nice and very easily. And you have the color picker. If you have a specific color area that you want to pick, you can select it, and you can navigate to wherever you want this text to carry its color. You can just easily navigate around and pick that particular color. If you want it to take this color, you can just click, and it's going to take that color. And once you click out, you can see you will see it's going to take in this particular color we just added. So you can see that's taking that very color that we just added. Well, you have the option to move around and check the brightness, the grayscale. You can check all this from here, and you have other colors as well inbuilt. You can select on any of them. You can have this to play around with. You can move around to select or to define a particular color. And the same thing with this clover, you can just move around. With these pencils, you can move around to select on any one of them, and you'll see it's going to show in directly. And once you select on any of them, it's going to show on that particular text that you have highlighted. So this is coloration on the text. You can double click also to come back, and you can accept this if you want to accept it as your text. Welcome to my channel, and you can just accept, or you can reset it back to normal and to the main one that you've started. Okay, so this is how to add very basic titles. You can just click out, and when you want to come to the beginning, you can start the play and see how it comes in and what it does. So you can see it comes in, and yeah, you're enjoying it, and then look at the transition going out. Okay, that is perfect. So you can do that with any of the text that you can see here. All you need is just to hover over the title, and you'll be able to see what it entails and how it's going to appear on your video clip. Okay, so if you are starting with that, and that's what you want, you can easily drag and drop it. If you want to create an outro, for example, if you want to create an outro, you can just select this, bring it over here. You want to create an outro, let's delete this. You want to create an outro, so you want this to be an outro, something like thanks for watching. You can just select it, double click on it, and then you can come and say thanks for, and then you can come down here and just type watching. We have thanks for watching. So you want to create an outro, you can have it something like that. So the same thing. So whatever you want to do, just feel free, depending on your creativity and depending on what kind of content you want to create. iMovie is a very fantastic software that you can easily use to create your movies in the most professional way possible. Now the next thing I want to show you is how to add backgrounds into your videos. If you want to add a background into your video, all you need to do is to come to the background over here, and you have a range of backgrounds. Okay, different kind of background, from maps to different kind of cuttings and organic backgrounds, and different kind of gradient backgrounds. You can see them over here. So for example, I may want to add a background from this transparent thank you for watching that we have just at the end of our tutorial. So you can add a background into this. So all you need to do is to select a background. For example, I may want something like this to be at the back of it. So you just select, drag and drop it, and then you can extend to fill up that particular area. You can extend the text to fill up this. For example, you may want it to fill up something like this. So when you come, you want to see thanks for watching, you can see it with a background. You can see thanks for watching with that background, and I think it kind of looks fantastic and nice. So this is very basic, and this is how to add background. You can see we have different plain background, gradient ones. You can play around with the features and add them fantastically depending on what kind of message or what kind of information you're trying to create. So you can have the world map, one old world globe also. You can see, you can have old world globe, you can see it. And you can add any text from this. You can just drag and drop any background of your choice, and then you can be able to add the text feature to fill up that particular location. So for example, this is a moving world, old world, and then you can see how you still have this moving background. I think I kind of like this one, so you can bring in a text and add it to it. So you can go back to titles and just select any title. For example, let's say we have this one, and just drag and drop it here, and then adjust the length to fit in and extend it to this point. All right, so I can put some, double click on the text and then put some. So this is the world. So this is the world, and you can see a preview of it once you come from here. Okay, so look at it. Yeah, I think this, I kind of like the moving background, the moving effect of it. And then you can see this one as well. You can add any text to it also to look fantastic. So you can put in this one and say, you can come over here. You can just double click and you can say, remember to, and then you can come over here and say, subscribe to my channel. And if you're liking this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to always hit the subscribe and notification buttons to stay connected to this channel for more videos like this. This does it for adding backgrounds on your timeline or on your timeline to conduct some very basic video editing. Now the next thing I want to show you is how to add transitions in iMovie. Okay, so to add transition is very easy. You can come to the transition tab over here, and you have a number of transitions that you can easily use on your timeline or on your property or within the timeline for your video editing. Usually you can add it across between two clips as you're navigating around. Okay, as you're navigating across clips, you can just drag and drop it. So you can just hover over any kind of transition and you'll be able to see its effects on the preview panel. So like this cross dissolve, which is very basic, I used to apply it. Or you can have this cross blur, you can have it also, very nice. Or you can have this cube effect, you can see the cube effect. Or you have this mosaic, okay, very nice. So, or this is wipe up, or this is circle open, and this is spin. So you can have different kind of, okay, this wipe down. So you can have any one of them, wipe left, wipe right, depending on what is your main target. You can have swap as well. I kind of like swap sometimes. Just swap between two clips, just create a swap. So whichever one you want, you can easily, this is doorway. For you to add a transition, you can just select a transition you are targeting, like this swap, just drag it and drop it in between the timeline. So as you hover over or as you play this video, you're going to see the transition across. So very nicely, you can see the swap. So let's see, let's play it and see. Yeah, you can see the swap. I think it kind of looks nice and fantastic. You can double click on the transition effect and you can extend the length, or you can reduce it, or you can apply to all. Okay, so this is 1 second. You can make it 0.5 or thereabout. You can play around with the seconds, or you can extend as well if you want. Okay, so this is transition. You can apply it in multiple places. In my own case, if I want to do transitions, I easily drag and drop cross intervals just like so, and you can do that on any point. I prefer to go very basic with something like the cross dissolve. Assuming I want to put this page call, okay, so you can drag and drop, okay, drag and drop it, and then you can see. I think this looks fantastic. So they are very basic, and there are so many of them. You can easily drag and drop, and then you have your transitions professionally put in your video clip. So feel free to give it a try. Feel free to explore and see what you can do and what you can use the transitions for. But they are very generally fantastic and nice. Now the next thing we want to talk about is how to add color and color correction into our video clips. So you can come back to the media, okay, my media over here. We can select any color, any video footage. For example, I'm interested in this one because it's very raw, okay, so you can easily do some editings with it and very nicely done. So you can see we can select this video and we want to add coloration to it. All you need to do is to come over here to the top. Over here you can see this small color balance. You can click on it and you can do the auto color balance. If you click on this, it's going to automatically generally adjust the color of this. So once you click, you'll see it has given us that small change. To my own opinion, it's very small, but it's a bit effective if you don't want too much of editing or too much of a coloration into your video clip. So you can see it has given it that very simple change. And you can match color. If you want to match this color to any location, you can just go ahead and do that. Or you can do white balance. If you have a specific place within this video that you know it's clearly or purely white, you can use it to also create your white balance. So you just click and you have the color picker. You can just select the particular place you feel like it's pure white. Like this place, it's completely white. You can click on it and it gives it that a little bit of touch and a little bit of change, showing that an effect of white balance had been added into this very basic color. So I don't usually do much as regards the color balance. What I usually do is, so I can just click on this to accept. What I usually do is I can go back to this color correction. Okay, but you can do skin tone balance also if you want, but I don't do all that. You can go to the color correction, okay, where you have these very horizontal bars explaining the different features. For example, you have the brightness over here. You can adjust the brightness from the top over here. You can adjust it and you extend the brightness, and you can see the brightness, you've extended it. I want it to be somewhere like this. I think it's okay. And then the shadows, you can go ahead and extend and decrease the shadows. If you want to increase the shadows and make it reduce the shadows a little bit to give that small professional touch, okay. And you can come over here to the contrast and increase or decrease the contrast accordingly. You can see the contrast, you can increase or decrease it. I think I like it somewhere like this. And then you can play around with this brightness as well, increase it a little bit so it gives us that popping nature. And then we have the saturation. You can increase the saturation to put in more color, or you can bring it back to reduce the color. If you go as far as the gray color or zero color, you can go to plain over here, or you can increase the coloration and it goes like this. I think I kind of like it this way. So at this point, and we want it up to this point. And then you have the color temperature, okay, so you can go down here to reduce the temperature, or you can go up here to increase the temperature. And I think a little bit of an increase can give it that professional look that we are looking for, something like this. And I think this does a good job on this very adjustment. So you can decide to take in this very adjustment and apply it to other clips that you have. Okay, so this is basically how to add coloration into your clip or into your timeline. So you can just go ahead and apply it to any of your clip that you are interested in, or you can copy the effect and paste it somewhere on another clip of your choice. Okay, so but for adding coloration and doing some basic color correction and applying some color balance. Alright, so the next thing is we're going to look at some extras, okay, some of the key features that we've not mentioned during this explanation. So we're going to look at some of the basic ones that you can use for your video footage and have a better experience using them. So the first one is the stabilization tool. Up here you can see it. You can click on it and you can stabilize your video in cases when you have a shaky video. Okay, so all you need is to select the clip and then come all the way to the stabilization icon over here. You just click on it and you can click to stabilize your video. You can play around with the percentage increase. You can increase it up to 50-60%. This is going to help you to stabilize the camera, and you can fix the rolling shutter as well if you select this. Okay, so by selecting this, it's going to carry out that fix for you through the video clip that you've selected. So that's the stabilization. The next one is the speeding process. Okay, so you can speed ramp your clip that you are working on. At this point, this is normal. You can set it to slow. You can make it a slow motion, or you can make it fast, or you can freeze a frame, or you can do custom speed it. You can speed it on your own. Whether you want to slow it or speed it, you can do that manually as well, using custom means as well. So you can slow it down, and you have the option to slow it down by 10%, which is the default. You can slow it down by 50, which is going to increase the size of this clip that we're working on. So you can extend to however length you want it, and this signifies forward, and you can reverse it as well if you want by just clicking on reverse. It's going to reverse it. You can see the direction by merely zooming at this little tortoise. If you zoom at this small tortoise, you can see the direction. You'll be able to see the direction of the clip. So this is reverse instead of the forward. So you can reverse it and do other things as well. So this is about speeding a clip, slowing it down, or you can do the same. You can fasten it by 2%, 2x, which is 200x, 200%. Or you can do 4x, which is going to make it quite shorter, and you can do 8x or thereabout. Okay, but I think the normal one is quite good, and you can use that as you so wish, because when you are in slow motion, maybe let's say 25%, if you try to play it, you will notice the slow motion effect. Okay, you can see it moves slowly. That shows the slow motion effect on the clip. So the next thing that I want to show you is the filter and audio effects. So by just clicking on this icon, you'll be exposed to this clip filter. Once you select this, right now it's set to none, and then you have multiple clip filters that you can select accordingly depending on what you want to show on your video. So if for adventure you want something like this, which is pure black and white, you can just click it. With one click, it's going to convert the entire clip that you've selected into this particular coloration. So you can just hover over any of them and see if it is exactly what you want. So I think something like this is cool, or you can go as far as this with some vignette. We can come to this one. So depending whatever coloration that you think you find useful or reasonable, depending on the content you are creating, you can just easily go ahead and give it a click. So for example, I might go with something like this, and I just give it a click, and it takes in that very effect in my clip. So you can do that you can copy the effect to other clips as well. Okay, and you can play around with the effect. You can increase or decrease the highlights of that particular effect that you've selected, and you can reset everything to the normal one if you want. Okay, and you have the audio effects as well if you want to play around with it. You can reset everything, or you can reset all of these features with one click as well. And then you have the last one, which is the clip information. Okay, so you have the clip information from here. By just clicking on this, you'll be able to see the clip information about all these that you're working on. This small gear icon, like I've explained, is for clip size. If you want to increase the clip size, you can increase it or decrease it accordingly, and you can see it can increase or decrease, basically showing you how some of the thumbnails. Okay, and you can zoom in and out also if you want to extend and see more details in terms of the clips that you're working on directly. So you can zoom in and out, and you can show the waveforms also if you want to show the waveforms from the audios that are attached to the clips. You can show all that from here. And for the other settings down here, you can be able to do fade in to black, or fade in from black, or fade out to black. You can do all that, and you can extend the sizes as well at the bottom level also from here. And you can decide to show or unshow the waveform in cases when you have a clip that have a waveform. You may decide to show it or unshow it accordingly. You can do that very easily and nice. And this last icon over here at the top right, okay, you can use it to automatically improve the quality of the audio and the video with just a simple click. So by just clicking, it's going to adjust the quality of the video as well as the audio. So this is an automatic color correction click. So with just that very click, you can see it has created that little difference, but then the impact is good, and you can see it has made it a little bit better. So you can see the before and the after. So I think this is about the extras, the very basic things that I want to show you. You can always right click on any clip to see more features if you want to add in more features directly. And then you're free to come to the files over here and see other features, the edit buttons over here, and see other features and modify features, as well as the view features. You can check all these, and the Windows features as well. You can check out the projects or hide library or minimize and do other other features as well from here. So just feel free to give it a try and go ahead and learn some of the basic things on your own while practicing with your own video clips, and you can see the major difference as you work on. So this is about the extras, some of the key extras that you can find useful and relevant to your editing process. Okay, so the last part of this tutorial is how to export your video that you have edited fully. You have taken your time to play around with the different features and you are comfortable and certain with what you have. You've added the audios, you've added the B-rolls, you've added the color correction and color balancing. You've checked out on the background music and you've done some cuttings here and there of the unneeded portions, and you've added some very basic transitions across. You're now certain and comfortable with what you have and you want to export the video for further use into other platforms, for uploading into YouTube or for sharing it with your followers or thereabout. You can always come up to the top right over here and you can see export and share. Okay, so you can just click on export and share. You can email this video directly to someone by just clicking on this email, and you can upload directly to YouTube or Facebook. You can upload them directly from here. You can save current frame, or you can export it to a local file within your computer. So that's what I'm going to do. Exporting it to a local file. You just click on this and you have the option to check out the very basic properties. So the first one is the description. You can add more description if you want. This is video editing one that you've seen, and then this is the tags. You can add more things if you want, and then this is the format. Usually video and audio is good, but if you want to go for audio only, it's going to export audio only. And then the resolution is 1080p. You can go as far as 4K if you want, but depending on how good or how strong is your computer, you can go as far as 4K. But I think 1080p can do good when it comes to quality, in terms of when it comes to sizing and the quality of the video, especially for YouTube. So 1080p is a good option. And then last one is the compress process. You can make it faster, which is going to be less in size, or you can make it better quality, which is going to be higher in size. So the choice is yours. If you want better quality and you have some storage that you want to use, you can go for better quality because it's usually higher in size. But for me, at this point, I usually go with the faster one because it doesn't waste time. And then you have the quality as well. You can go as far as ProRes, which is the best, and in terms of quality also, it's the best, but then it's a bit heavier. But I think high is good also, very, very good. So you can keep it at high, and if you want to go to ProRes, if you have some storage, you can go for it as well. And down here, this gives us an estimated time of the video clip that we've worked on, and then this is an estimated size of that particular clip that we've just worked on. So after setting everything correctly, the location, the description or the name, the resolution, the format, and the quality and the compressing format, you can just come all the way and say next to this, and it's going to pop into for you to save it as, you can give it another name if you want at this point, or you can define the exact location you want it to save. So for example, in my own case, I would like it to go straight to this folder, iMovie, and save it here. If you don't want it, you can go ahead and define another location within your system and define exactly where you want it to save, and it's going to save it there directly. So in my own case, I've selected iMovie and I can just click on save, and it's going to start rendering and saving the video in that very folder. So you can see the process and the progress over here with this small circle, and you can follow along and just follow and see what is the progress and how is the exporting process taking place. You can see the progress over here. And once it finishes the export, you can try to play the video on different platforms, maybe within your phone, within the computer, using your earpiece so that you can hear the sound and check out the quality of the video very nicely. So it may take some seconds for it to finish the exporting. So once it finishes the exporting process, you can just try to play the video as I've explained. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this tutorial, generally on how to use iMovie for Mac to edit your video, because I didn't see iMovie on any of the other operating system. It's basically for Mac. So I believe you have learned something through this process, this small tutorial on how to use iMovie.
If you do, please remember to share this video with your friends, and don't forget to always hit the subscribe and notification buttons to stay connected to this channel for more videos like this. So thank you very much for watching and for being with me up to this point. And if you have any issue or any challenge, you can feel free and go ahead to share with me some of your key challenges, and I'm going to address it for you directly. So thank you, and see you in my next tutorial.